First, though, ladies and gentlemen, on the line, the one and only Jeremy Rosenthal with the one and only Rosenthal Report.
The Rosenthal Report.
Oh, it's a little extra explosion there.
Yeah, because he's extra explosive this morning.
Pieces flying everywhere. Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning, and thanks for taking part in the Rosenthal Report.
Good morning. We cannot be shut down. We are here, and we are storming. Yeah, right. That's what I meant. That's how I meant that.
Just like Schwarzkopf, we are storming Rosenthal.
That's us. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so let's. How about we're celebrating the Lunar New Year for the Chinese people here in New York State. Schools are closed today. Big day today.
That's awesome. I love that. Yes. Okay. Well, I'll celebrate with you. How's that? I'm just going to call the court and be like, guys, we're not doing this.
Ready? Here's what you have to say when you call.
农历新年快乐.
新年快乐, which says
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Yeah.
Happy New Year to you.
All right, so we're going to start with, is it the executive orders is what you want me to start with?
Yes, there are so many.
Man.
There are so many executive orders.
You look at his desk and there's like this giant pile and a lot of executive orders. What do you think about all this?
Well, first off, do you guys have the Cheesecake Factory in Utica?
We have one in nearby Syracuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. They all look kind of like the menu there from that. And I think his first executive order was to create more of those.
Recycle them. They need an update on their menus. So
that's DOGE. DOGE is going to come in and say, let's be efficient here. Okay, so let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what an executive order is and what an executive order isn't, because I think there's a lot of confusion there, right? People think that there's these big lightning bolt of we're gonna build a fortress under the sea, and we're gonna whatever.
Okay, easy now.
Sorry.
Okay.
So when we break down the government, right, we've got Congress, who's got certain powers in the Constitution. We've got the courts that regulate, and the executive. Sort of these orders are somewhere in the middle, right? An executive order is basically in a direction to the government on how we're going to run things around here. Mostly these are administrative. Most executive orders are not too sexy. They're not too exciting. They're really mundane stuff. But an executive order obviously cannot break the law. It can't, order executions. And it can't violate the Constitution. The vast majority of the president's executive orders have not been challenged. The Gulf of America, for instance, he can order all the map makers that work for the federal government to call it the Gulf of America. And now he can't order Tim Cook to do it from Apple.
Right. Who's not.
Although CNBC had a report yesterday that Google will change it.
Google is doing it. It was why I will not use the Google Maps anymore. Give me a break. This is so stupid. I think it's stupid personally, but
get your T-shirt now. Look, I mean, right. So anyway, yeah. So he can do things like that. But he's obviously drawn some challenges to the more controversial ones.
Obviously, birthright citizenship is now they're trying to debate this, but it goes back to the 14th Amendment. Now you're messing with the Constitution. It's not simple as an executive order, or is it?
It's simple because it's pretty clear, and you can kind of say, look, well, this was the intent behind it, but when the language is clear on its face, you can't really I mean, we complain a lot about judges writing the law from the bench. We don't like that. And so for a judge to say, well, it says if you were born here, you're a citizen, but is that really what it means? Let's think about this. That's what we hate with judges, right? So I don't know that will get a lot of purchase. You had an 87-year-old Ronald Reagan appointee who chewed out the U.S. attorney in Seattle for this. This one's not going to go too far. Now, maybe for Donald Trump, maybe this was a sacrificial lamb. Maybe he was like, all right, I'm going to throw out 50 of these, and everybody's going to be, all the fish are going to be, and piranha are going to chew up this one, but this is the one I really want here, the Gulf of America. They're not going to challenge that one. So maybe that was an issue there. The deal yesterday with all the federal freezing that got enjoined immediately because Congress had already authorized a lot of that money to be spent. So that would be an instance where, okay, Mr. President, you can't overrule Congress. And what Trump was trying to do was saying, look, I'm just auditing this. I just want to make sure that you guys are in compliance with the executive priorities here, and then I'll fund it. The problem is Congress had already funded most of it. He tried to make clear, look, I'm not screwing with Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, right? That would turn the tables on him real quick. But he was trying to make that clear. Either way, it got enjoined. DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, was not enjoined. That was sued right after Trump took office. But the courts in that instance are still reviewing it, but they didn't block it. So he has won some victories here.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and he has, and listen, he is the president of the United States with control of the House of Representatives and the Senate. However, that's still not enough to change the Constitution, right? You need a 2/3 vote in order to amend the Constitution.
That's hard. The change here, if you really want to affect immigration policy, and if you really want to functionally limit birthright citizenship, right? The complaint is not, look, you shouldn't be a citizen because your parents weren't citizens. The complaint is your parents shouldn't piggyback on that so they can retroactively become citizens. That's a complaint, right? That can be fixed legislatively. So that's the issue that if you're trying to affect change, you can. The current law says that your parents cannot apply for citizenship or cannot piggyback until the minor child is 21. So you've already got some issue or protection there. But look, we're talking about it, aren't we? So maybe that's a win for Donald Trump. Maybe that's how he's operating.
Yeah.
Jeremy, now a lot of with these executive orders, what happens ultimately, and it may be by design, is Trump may know that he's going to get sued and it would be going to a federal court and then may eventually end up in the Supreme Court. And that's by design.
I think you're exactly right. I think that his lawyers came in and said, this one, we'll try it, but I don't think this one's going to work. And yes, look, I mean, if he is, politicians everywhere play to their base, right? Letitia James, New York State, suing Donald Trump. That's good politics for her. That gets her reelected. Alvin Bragg going after Donald Trump. That gets him reelected. Donald Trump essentially throwing this out there and having all these other people attack him. That's good politics for him. That's playing to his base. So that's how this works.
That's how he got. And listen, that's really how he got reelected. He was able to take all of these indictments and turn it into a perceived witch hunt, and it worked. I think people just got frustrated with all of it. So interesting stuff. There's a lot out there. The other thing is, if you could just quickly touch on the general thought is maybe it's a crapshoot when you go to the Supreme Court because he now has, if you will, a Donald Trump majority on the Supreme Court. However, Supreme Court members often tend to disappoint.
I wouldn't tell them that to their face. No, look.
Well, they may disappoint a president who thinks, all right, I've got this one in the bag. And ultimately, it's the Constitution. It's their perception of the Constitution, their interpretation. It's a little, I think it means a very big deal to each and every one of those Supreme Court members.
I think you're exactly right. And let's juxtapose a different executive order. There's one got a lot less attention. There's a federal government, I don't know what you would call it, a guideline, a policy, an edict that's called Section F. Section F has to do with federal workers. And Donald Trump, one of his executive orders has to do with reclassifying Section F to make people easier to fire. Now, when you work for the federal government, you still get all the due process the federal government has to give you. That means freedom of speech. That means you can't fire me, Donald Trump, because my Facebook is all Kamala. You can't do that. You can fire me if I'm coming to work late. You can do that. but you can't fire me because of my politics or things like that. So Section F is basically trying to move that battle line, which is an administrative action, right? That's what we were talking about. I can order the federal government to do this. So that has not been blocked either. However, if and when they try to make changes to the federal workforce, they're going to run up against a lot of these due process challenges. And that's where, to your point, to kind of bring it back full circle, that's where the Supreme Court may say, okay, we threw you out on the birthright citizenship. You were dead wrong there. But let's think about this. Let's chew about this one for a little bit, because they're weighing the politics of it too.
It's going to be very interesting to see where all of this goes. And there's so much happening right now in his first couple of weeks in office. Andrew, second topic is?